All right, so hello and thank you both so much for being here for my interview for my project. Thank you both so much. So, before we start our interview, could I please get both of your names?
My name is Derek. My name is Derek Wong.
I'm Mary.
Thank you so much, Mr. Derek and Miss Mary, for being here for this interview. Now, I have a few questions for you both regarding my assignment, which has the topic of your perspective towards uh, the communication gap between you as the parents from Generation X and your children. I want to understand the communication gap between you both and what's going on when you guys communicate. So, but before we start, I would like to get both of your consent on being recorded in this interview. And having your consent means that you acknowledge that this interview will be recorded and I will use it for my research purposes on my final project. So, do I have both of your consent?
Yeah, no problem.
Yes.
All right. For the first question, how old are you guys and your children respectively?
This year I'm 46 years old, and my wife also 46, and we have two children. The eldest is 18 years old. The youngest is 16 years old. One girl and one boy.
Okay. All right, that's nice to know. So clearly, you guys are from Generation X and your children are from Generation Z. That's great to know. Now, for a second question, this is a more heavy question, but what do you think are the main criteria for good communication skills between you and your children?
I think for good communication, it always has to start from young.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you have to have what I say is a good relationship.
Mhm.
A good relationship with your children will eventually leads to a good communications because a good relationship means also like you understand one another.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I believe that everything start from young.
Mhm.
We will build a good relationship and understanding so that we understand and know what they like, what they don't. And then from there, I think we can have topics to talk about the understanding and their what they're thinking deep inside them. So I would say that is the relationship.
Thank you for your answer, Miss Mary. Now, for our next question, do you face any challenges when trying to communicate with your child? If so, what are they? Because I understand that the generation gap is quite large, right? So, what are some challenges that you guys face?
Basically, when they are quite young, what means like primary school, we are still can uh, communicate with them,
Yeah.
and we quite well. But when they go up like a teenage, that will be the communication, the generation gap will be more obvious because when they get into their friends, their social, everything, we found that because we bring up with a different generation, the way that we try to bring up to them is different, especially when we what we like and what they like is totally different in terms of like music, what their hobby and their what they like in this generation compared to last generation is totally different. Uh, so what we time we need to really understand them why they like this kind of like the, the, the hobby or the music they like or their social with their friends and uh, sometimes it's really a tough one uh, because we don't understand, and especially when we go through all this we went through all this experience, we try to maybe influence them, but actually it shouldn't like that. What I mean is like their surrounding is different, their upbringing, their friends, everything different. So they were some problem. What I mean issue that we need to sit down and try to understand them.
Then, when you face these kind of problems, what do you do to solve it? Like, how do you solve this kind of issue when that happens?
Okay, let me answer this.
Mhm.
Let's say we have some disagreement, or we have some conflicts, right? So when younger time, of course, I think the parents will know better. So I think the authority that we have, we know what is best for them. So mostly we are like we when they were younger, you just have to like they just have to obey. That's
Yeah.
what we were thinking lah
Mhm.
that time. So when things like my husband said, when as they grow older, so I think things has become different
Yeah.
because they are more individual, have their own thinking. They know how to think. They know how to evaluate a lot of things already. So at this point, if we have any conflicts, I think that um I think time we need time. We need let's say we have some disagreement. I think we need time for everybody to calm down.
Yeah.
Yeah, the peace period to able to, and then we find a time again when everybody is calm and ready to talk about it. That's the thing. I think we need to put down ourselves. Even me as a parents, I
Yeah.
think we cannot like just keeping that authority or the high at that situation at
Yeah.
that. So I think I need to find my children, whoever that I have conflict with. We will sit down and talk about it. What had happened, and what is the disagreement, and the thing that we couldn't agreed about.
Yeah.
So talk about it. Yeah, when both of us ready and calm enough for that.
That's a very solid answer. I mean, to have good communication, you need to communicate, right? Our next one, this is a very interesting question, in my opinion. Do you guys try to adapt to your children's way of thinking when communicating with them? Do you guys try to, or are willing to try to think in their perspective when they are trying to do something you guys don't understand?
As we mentioned just now, because their hobby, their like, their friends, are totally different. So when we know that about this, we try to, just like the question asked, how to adapt it. We try to go into their life. What I mean is, like just now I said, it's music. I will try to, although some of their music I might not like it,
Yeah.
but I will try to know what is the recent trend music right now, everything, and why they like it. And sometimes also I want to know about the artists, the groups, what group are they from, which country, what they're singing.
Yeah.
Then what, and sometimes also we want to, like, if they listen to it, we also wouldn't object. We just listen together. Then only we ask some questions why you like it. This is about music, but in their life is sometimes like why they like it. Some the others, we will try to sit down, especially like dinner time.
Yeah.
We will sit down and open a conversation, and what we don't know, we will ask. We try to go into their life and understand their whole their what their what they like right now. And sometimes also the reason or the why they make some decision, we also try to ask. Then only I found that actually is better that we just guess. We honestly ask question and try to understand everything.
Yeah, I remember I'll go to the extent, like say in the music part,
Yeah.
I really go and see what kind of music, and then I ask and talk to them, and hey, what is this? What is that? So I got to know that, oh, this girl, like my daughter, oh, she likes Stray Kids. Oh, okay, I know, I know, no. Then later they go to the trend or what? Suddenly what? Oh, new jeans. Ah, okay, okay. Then I will start to look at it. What is? Oh, quite nice. Ah, I start to listen. Start to also try to like what they like. You know, yeah, the those K-pop groups things. Yeah. So I think knowing the changes, what the world or the how the world change and what people are looking at right now is important. I mean, so that we can understand their thinking and have a better communication like that.
Now, can you remember a moment where you felt a huge communication gap between you and your children? And how did you handle it? It can be a small issue or something that happened recently. So, do you guys have any thoughts on this?
During their puberty time, the changes a lot. Thinking when they feel they want to be independent at that time, and they feel they're like adults and they know a lot. Okay, that is the problem starts. Yeah, when they feel that I know better than you, and I know even what you are thinking and how you're going to respond to me. Oh, that is very challenging. I do remember at the changes of one of my child that when we had a really a big fight like that, it really hurts me because of the way how she talked to me, how uh she talked to me lah. Okay, we really like shouted and screaming and at one another. That is really heartbreaking lah. Thinking about it that time, and I don't understand. I don't understand why my child could be like that. To the extent that I didn't raise her to be like in such, and how did she ended up like that? How did we resolve the things? I guess is again like what I mentioned earlier. We need time. I think we need everyone to calm down, you know, to ready to talk about it. Yeah. I believe that time also is not easy to talk about it because everybody have their firm stance, their own stance on what they believe in. So, but somehow I believe that you still need to communicate. We cannot just leave it as it is. We need to do something about it. That again, we need to talk about it. So I find time to talk about the issues that we are facing, and then from there lah.
Now, for our last question, since you mentioned that communication is very important, right, and
Yeah.
calming down as well, then what do you think? What advice would you give to other parents in order to have good communication with their children as well, and to overcome the potential communication gap between parents and children? Perhaps maybe if your children they grow older and they have kids themselves, what advice would you give them in order to have good communication?
Let me share about my as a man's part first. Mine is father's part first. Actually, man is more like egoism, temper, everything. So when they were young, we can still use some, teaching, punishment, or maybe cane. But when they grow older, it really tests our temper and our patience. But I would say is parents need to really calm down when things happen. We try to like we are out when things happen outside. Maybe we just keep quiet first. But whatever it is, when we come home or maybe we have family time, we will talk about it to the children. And I would say it's our temper also. We need to control, listen to what they talk. Why means their reason, what they did, what they have done. Then only we try to resolve together. I think listening is the most important. That's the most important, and especially for fathers, men, don't shout or make things even worse. So actually, then only we try to resolve it together. And I think the children also, because they have ears, whatever what we have shared, what we have our opinion to them, actually they listen. Just that maybe the situation is very tense, they couldn't accept it. But then at the end of the day, actually they know, and then we try to do it in a calm way.
As a conclusion, I would say like what I mentioned earlier in the beginning lah. Everything my advice to the parents or to my future, to the future of my children, and the grandchildren, that is start from young, build the relationship, spend time together with them, to know them better, to understand them well. That is the very beginning and basic thing if you want to have a good communication from now or even to last in the future. Build a good relationship and have the skill of learn to listen to one another. Then of course as a parents, another thing that we have to know is we teach by example and set a good example ourselves, or how we should communicate, um, the tone of how we talk, the way how we talk, and how to be respectful to one another in the way we communicate. Yeah.
Very great answers from both of you. I think one that caught my eye was listening. You can't have communication if nobody listens. And hearing and listening is different. You can hear from one ear and it comes out the other, right? But it's very crucial to listen. Otherwise, there won't be a two-way communication. But yeah, thank you both so much for this interview. Your answers will be really, really helpful to the future generation of parents as well. So again, thank you both so much. And that is the end of our interview.
So the first one is, how old are you and your children respectively?
I'm 56. I have two princes, aged 33, my first one, and my second one, Nurin, she's 18.
And the second one is, what do you think are the criteria for good communication?
Okay, one of the criteria that we need to have in ourselves when we are in the communication environment, we need to be a confident speaker and focus on our topic, on what we want to communicate.
So number 3 is, do you face challenges when trying to communicate with your child? If so, what are they?
Yeah, sometimes I face challenge to talk with my children because sometimes when the topic is not very interest for them, so it's very hard for me to convey the message, to make them understand. But I try to build a good platform, environment, and to view first with whether the topic that I want to communicate with them can catch their interest or not. So we need to see whether they can give a good feedback when we communicate.
And the next one is, how do you resolve disagreements and misunderstandings between you and your children?
Oh, that's quite tight. When we say something that we feel it's an interest for us, for me as a parent, as a mother, sometimes I feel that whenever I talk, it's a good skill, it's a good way of talking, and with the hope that my daughter will understand what I'm trying to say. But a way that I communicate with them, they feel it another way. Sometimes this is good, but to them this is not good. So we will try to discuss on any issues which they feel disagree. Alhamdulillah, we can resolve in a very good way.
Okay, thank you. Next one is, do you try to adapt to your child's way of thinking when communicating with them?
Yeah. I always try to put myself and to make myself understand the way of their thinking. I will try to be in their environment to make them and myself understand what they want.
Is, can you remember a moment when you felt a huge communication gap between you and your children? How did you handle it?
Oh, first I will put myself away a moment and I will try to get back to them and sit down and ask them, what is my mistake? What I don't understand? And we will try to resolve in a very harmony and loving.
And the last one is, in your opinion, what advice would you give to other parents in order to gain good communication despite the potential communication gap between you and your children?
Okay, as a parent, to suit with today's environment, my advice is parents must understand what the children's need. And we as a parents try to make ourselves understand with their environment nowadays. It's a bit challenging, but if we try to put ourselves in their environment, I believe that we can suit to communicate very well with them.
Okay, that's all. Thank you guys for watching. Okay.
Hello and Assalamualaikum. My name is Rohan and I'll be interviewing you guys and conducting a video interview for an assignment. Do I have your consent for that? Want you to be in a video?
Yes, okay. I'm alright.
So, without further ado, I'll just get on to the question. Yeah? The first question is, do you face challenges when trying to communicate with your children? If so, what are one of those challenges?
Okay. Well, at first, communication between parents and children is basically very important. Is keeping in ensuring that everything is in control, mutual understanding, expectation between parents and children and vice versa. Because you know that for every parent they have their sense of responsibility towards their children. Hence, they have certain expectation for the children to understand what our instruction given by the parents in order for their children to obey and follow the expectation and the rules and the law that's supposed to be followed by the children. So the challenges over here is most of in the current modern day now is little bit very challenging in the sense that it's because so many influence that already in the mind of our children right now, which is many cases that we haven't have already set the rules and law, and also we call it is good conduct. Good conduct. We expect certain things that the children to follow, but when we communicate to our children, in most cases that the children is sometimes have their own way, own thinking that contradict on plan, on point that contradict with whatever that expected and wished by the parents. So that is actually the moment the clashes happen. So that is so far is the challenge.
Clashing plans. So more, and then the communication's not well.
Okay, clashing plan, communication, different expectation. Number 3, different different expectation. Another one is the number second. The clash plan. Meaning that the children have their own plan, the parents have their own plan. The communication maybe is need to be more diplomatic lah. Diplomatic. So sometimes the wording that we use is not that really understood or understood clearly.
Yeah, nowadays sentence from children is harsh.
The language lah, the language used is not that either maybe it's not being fully understood by the children, and the children normally now in terms of language also because the way that they are bringing is actually they have a lot of influence. When they have a lot of difference sometimes they are not fully obey to the parent because they have their own idea and own opinion. So the now modern day children, they think that they have their right. They don't know that there's their responsibility. They think that is their right. When we instruct them to follow this and that, they say no. They're willing to they dare to challenge. In fact, if normally most of the time the parents already educate the children that even in Al-Quran say also cannot. But that is not being understood well by the children. The children is there to challenge the whatever that is already given by the parents. That is the challenges lah.
So for the next question, how do you resolve or settle disagreements between you and your children?
Open
Negotiation,
communication,
discussion, and then we
open mind must listen to
each other lah. Then most of them also we try to understand that our children more better, or at a certain point, at a certain point that we don't want to argue lah. At a certain point we argue. So we to make sure that the children can understand. Because when we notice that one is really cannot be resolved, then it's better to be silent lah. To be silent, and sometimes I keep saying that if they are not following our word, then the experience, the life teach them better. That is the most lesson session lah. The learning curve from the experience is more better rather than when we keep talking, but they don't understand. no point, right?
So for the next question, can you remember a moment or a day when you felt a huge communication gap between you and your children? And if so, how did it settle?
Just a very quick recent examples lah. That for example that we ask our children to wake up in the morning 6:30 to pray for subuh, but they say wait, okay, But after 2 to 3, 4 times, calling them also, they not wake up. They're not from their place. So finally, when we check after already 70 or 80, they still sleeping. Then after that, the people keep complaining. Oh, Papa, Mama, you keep disturbing me lah. Disturbing me. Then finally, at certain point, most of the time, as parents, we say, we already done our part. Our kids already quite adult already. They already patang. So we already done our responsibility. We try to avoid conflict lah. We try to avoid conflict. But I mentioned this to my wife also that we do our part. Our part is to remind them. But they, after a certain age, we need to take them as a friend lah. They also is the teacher of Islam also, right? Unless it those that still below the age lah. But those that already certain age, already adult, already teenager, they have their own thinking, already balik like Islam. Right? They also are responsible on what they did, what they are doing. So most of my time, most of the time, that I just remind them, and at a certain point, I will leave it to them. Hopefully that at one day they can bertaubat lah.
Okay, so for the last question, in your opinion, what advice would you give to other parents in order to give good communication despite the potential communication gap between you and your children?
Yeah, normally actually this is more applied to the young family lah. Young family that they are still to advise lah. They are not. They are still meaning they are just starting. Yeah, I mean they are just starting their family, so the advice is for them to we must have the frequent communication. They are number one, must have the frequent communication, and the instruction or reminding that is their responsibility. Number two, they must advise their children according to the age. Different age, different way of capability to understand the instruction. Number two, actually the wording lah. So when starting from the baby up to children, teenagers, and that, we must adopt to the different style in communicating to our children. But the bottom line is we need to keep communicating to them at the right time in the right way. So they understand. Then children also must be
Always communicate with children.
Constantly
and open mind.
and using the right way lah. Open mind is more important. Then we cannot dictate too much. Give and take lah. But must be according to the level of age lah. If your children is actually below age, then they need to just simply follow because they cannot use their own thinking yet.
They will be so right.
Children.
For them to make decisions.
Yeah, they listen too much. They listen.
Must have at least 8, 70,
Yeah.
30%
Actually, based on my postmortem with my wife, we already did we already done the wrong way because we give some kind of freedom, the thinking and select and make a choice, decision making to our children at very young age because they not even qualified to do that actually. They only can make their own decision at a certain age, maybe after sekolah menengah ke kan, at 18 lah.
After that,
Below
they're
that,
going to
they must be guided very closely, very well. Then let babies at a point let the parent make decision for them. But we need to slowly give some kind of freedom to them to make decision anyway.
Because they are not natural. It's not that they're not smart, they are not natural.
They have sufficient experience.
They need more experience.
So thank you both of you for answering these questions. I very much appreciate all of your answers are very interesting and insightful. So I hope you all come next. Thank you.
Okay.